Have you ever contemplated the authentic significance of Daniel's 70 weeks and the manner in which this prophetic message has found fulfillment across the ages? Of all the secrets unveiled in Holy Writ, this particular one distinguishes itself as among the most mysterious, accurate, and magnificent. This goes beyond being merely a prediction concerning Israel's tomorrow. This represents the unveiling of God's personal timepiece, the hidden cadence through which the Maker orchestrates time, kingdoms, and humanity's everlasting fate. The backdrop is captivity. Jerusalem remains in devastation. The sacred house was consumed by flames, and the selected nation exists in bondage within Babylon. Belief appears remote. The sky appears unresponsive. Yet within the boundaries of an alien territory, a person rises up in prayer. Daniel, the seer of confinement, bears in his gaze the mirror of yearning, and upon his tongue the utterance of contrition. He does not demand liberty but seeks pardon. His spirit, shattered before the Supreme One, transforms into an offering place. And upon this offering place of cinders, God reignites the spark of expectation as Daniel intercedes. The invisible realm stirs. The celestial quietness breaks. The messenger Gabriel falls with a communication that will extend across thousands of years. Yet what the seer obtains is not simply a reply. This becomes the instrument to unlock time, one holy blueprint disclosing Daniel's 70 weeks and the manner in which this prophetic word has found completion across history, precisely tracing the roots of deliverance. The tally commences there, not upon mankind's timepiece, but within God's spirit. These 70 weeks are not simple calendar markings. They represent the unseen framework of the ages, the gauge of celestial constancy and infinite forbearance. Within each of them exists an intention: the restoration of Jerusalem, the arrival of the Anointed One, the season of favor, and the approaching reckoning. Each phase represents a stage within the rescue design, and each interval proves the Maker's compassion. The timepiece of the Supreme One does not track moments, but advances at redemption's rhythm, and nothing can halt its progression. To comprehend Daniel's 70 weeks and the manner in which this prophetic declaration has found completion across the ages is to observe the way the Timeless One inscribes mankind's story with celestial exactness. Every kingdom, every ruler, every people all serve as tools within the orchestration of his purpose. Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, they all faded, yet the design persisted. For God does not calculate time as mortals do. He interweaves the ages like one who stitches eternity with strands of covenant. This prophetic word discloses to us that time serves divine authority. Nothing evades the Maker's dominion. Not conflicts, not collapses, not quietness. Even when the timepiece appears to have ceased, God continues calculating. Each lineage fulfills a function. Each epoch advances a marker onward. And thus Daniel's 70 weeks and the manner in which this prophetic message has found fulfillment across history transform into a breathing witness that God's constancy never wavers. Examining this prophetic word goes beyond pursuing understanding. It means sensing the rhythm of infinity within temporal existence. It means grasping that he who established the start also confirmed the conclusion. And when the final week reaches completion, the prophetic timepiece will register the ultimate moment. Time will halt, and the sovereign of sovereigns will descend to govern over all peoples. Yet what did those cryptic 70 weeks ordained by God genuinely signify? From Babylon's devastation to time's termination, an unseen timepiece registers every movement of the ages. Daniel witnessed it and documented the mystery that few ventured to interpret. The 70 weeks, the celestial chronometer that discloses the fate of Israel, the peoples, and all mankind. This day, you will grasp that nothing occurs randomly. Every kingdom, every prediction, and every indication directs toward a flawless design drafted by God Himself. Prepare yourself, because we are about to traverse ages within moments and uncover that time has indeed perpetually remained within the grasp of the everlasting. The prophet's intercession. Babylon had grown quiet, yet Daniel's spirit blazed with unrest. Generations had elapsed since the occasion he had been captured, still a youth from Jerusalem's devastation. Now the dominion that had previously boasted of its magnificence was starting to weaken, and the seer, elderly, exhausted, yet unwavering in his conviction, observed from a distance the sunset across the suspended gardens. While the precious metal of the towers mirrored the fading illumination of daylight, his being mirrored an unquenchable blaze. Daniel was not merely a governmental captive. He stood as a courier in banishment, a person who discovered how to perceive God's utterance within the very core of the hostile territory. As Daniel examines the parchments of the seer Jeremiah, he uncovers a covenant. When 70 years reach completion since Jerusalem became desolate, I will attend to my nation and restore them. Jeremiah 29:10. This disclosure stirs something profound within his being. He comprehends that the moment of completion approaches, yet he also grasps that renewal would not arrive merely through chronology. It would arrive through agreement. The prophetic word demanded turning back, cleansing, and restoration. Daniel then chooses to position himself in the opening as a mediator. The holy writings describe this instant with uncommon profundity. I directed my countenance to the Lord God to pursue him through supplication, and entreaties with abstaining, coarse fabric and cinders. Daniel 9:3. The seer does not intercede superficially. He does not demand material endowments or worldly authority. His utterance pierces the sky with acknowledgement, weeping, and anguish. He connects himself with the transgression of the nation. He does not declare they have transgressed, but we have transgressed. He stands as the image of genuine turning back, the upright interceding for the unrighteous. Daniel's supplication represents one of the most stirring in all Holy Writ. He recognizes God's fairness and Israel's blame. He remembers the covenants, the agreements, the rescues of former times, and implores, "Our Lord, perceive. Lord, pardon. Lord, perceive and move. Do not postpone. For your personal interest, O my God." Daniel 9:19. Every utterance serves as a connection between soil and sky, a frantic effort to restore the exchange interrupted by wrongdoing. As Daniel interceded, the unseen realm awakened. That instant of entreaty was not simply a supplication. It became the catalyst that would initiate God's prophetic timepiece. The cosmos appeared to suspend its respiration. Between the particles of mortal repentance and the seat of infinite magnificence, something was about to occur. The elderly man with white hair bent with years prostrates himself before the Maker. His frame is weak, yet his conviction is unbreakable. He does not envision that his supplication transcends the limits of time and transforms into one of the most significant in restorative chronicle. The reply that would arrive would alter the manner the world would grasp tomorrow. At that precise instant, a celestial courier is dispatched. The seer, still upon his knees, senses the manifestation enveloping him. The atmosphere appears different, more ethereal, more sacred. The heavenly visitation. An illumination enters the dimness of the chamber. Daniel raises his gaze and observes the messenger Gabriel, the identical one who would subsequently declare the conception of the Anointed One to the Virgin Mary. That meeting is no simple apparition. It represents the merging of supplication and prediction, of conviction and faith. The messenger approaches with utterances that resound through infinity. From the commencement of your entreaties, the directive departed, and I have arrived to announce it to you because you are deeply cherished. Daniel 9:23. This statement is among the most potent in all Holy Writ. God in his authority stirred sky and principalities in response to one person's supplication. The section instructs us that the strength of mediation extends beyond the instant. Daniel interceded for his nation, yet his supplication reached subsequent lineages. Every utterance he voiced in sincere contrition was inscribed in the celestial schedule. He pursued neither compensations nor acknowledgement. He pursued the restoration of God's manifestation, and the Lord replied. Daniel's supplication mirrors the aim of prediction, to disclose that time belongs to God, yet the reply belongs to conviction. Mediation unlocks entries that the mind never could, while kingdoms collapsed and rulers followed one another. One person in supplication altered the trajectory of the ages. That evening, as the celestial bodies illuminated above Babylon, Daniel still did not recognize the significance of the reply he would obtain. What appeared to be a communication of solace would genuinely be the disclosure of a prophetic schedule that would extend to time's termination. And the sky stirred, dispatching a courier with the most precise disclosure in the Chronicles. The prophecy revealed. Twilight was descending across Babylon. The darkness of the pillars extended lengthily in the residence passages, and quietness appeared to surround the complete metropolis like a weighty covering. Inside his quarters, Daniel still remained kneeling. The particles adhered to his flesh. The abstaining diminished his frame, yet his being remained resolute. He had interceded until no utterances persisted, until his very respiration transformed into a plea. His utterance had ceased. Yet the sky, the identical sky that had appeared remote for 70 years, was starting to reply. Then the environment transformed. An illumination erupted through the chamber, fracturing the boundaries of the observable realm. It was as though time had separated into a rupture of infinity. Daniel raised his gaze, and before him positioned a being whose manifestation emanated magnificence. His countenance illuminated like lightning. His garments glistened like frozen water in the solar radiance. The seer grasped instantly. This was no vision nor a common apparition. This was a celestial attendance. The messenger's utterance shattered the quietness with gentleness and strength. Daniel, person deeply cherished, grasped the utterances that I communicate to you and stand, for presently I have been dispatched to you. Daniel 9:23. The seer struggles to his feet trembling. This being did not arrive merely to comfort. He arrived to disclose. Gabriel, the courier of covenants, carried no temporary communication of solace, but a directive that would confirm the trajectory of mortal chronicle. He declares, 70 weeks are established upon your nation and upon your sacred metropolis to complete the rebellion, to create a termination of wrongdoing and to create restoration for transgression, to carry in perpetual uprightness, to confirm the apparition and the seer, and to consecrate the most sacred. Daniel 9:24. These utterances suspend in the atmosphere like sacred blaze. Daniel, the person who deciphered visions of rulers and apparitions of kingdoms, now confronts the greatest secret ever disclosed, a celestial code that combines past, present, and tomorrow. Gabriel clarifies that these weeks are not common. They represent prophetic weeks, phases of years established by God Himself. Each week signifies 7 years, and the 70 weeks constitute the blueprint of the restorative design. The timepiece of the Supreme One was about to commence its tally, directing toward occurrences that would form the complete chronicle of the world. The restoration of Jerusalem, the arrival of the Anointed One, His demise, the devastation of the sacred house, and ultimately the fulfillment of the ages. The messenger communicates with mathematical exactness, from the departure of the directive to restore and to construct Jerusalem, until the Anointed One, the ruler, will be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Daniel 9:25. This prophetic word so elaborate would subsequently disclose the precise moment of Jesus Christ's appearance on earth. Every digit, every interval, every utterance was charged with significance. Daniel perceives in quietness as Gabriel describes what approaches. He observes in apparitions the tomorrow of Israel and mankind unfolding before him like in revealed parchment. He observes rulers yet to be conceived, kingdoms yet to exist, and the central figure of a deliverer who would be eliminated but not by himself. Daniel 9:26. The seer senses the burden of disclosure. The 70 weeks are not simply a chronological tally. They represent the root blueprint of the rescue design. Gabriel discloses that after the demise of the consecrated one, a period of devastation would arrive. The metropolis would be demolished, the sacred house desecrated, and the nation dispersed among the peoples. Yet the messenger also communicates of expectation. There would be a designated moment for the termination of the rebellion, a day when perpetual uprightness would be founded. As the celestial courier communicates, Daniel grasps he is witnessing the celestial architecture of the ages. The prophetic word is not merely about Israel, but about all mankind. The Maker through Gabriel discloses that time is not arbitrary. It represents a tool in his grasp. Each epoch possesses a function. Each kingdom possesses a teaching. Each covenant possesses a completion. This meeting between Daniel and Gabriel is among the most sublime instances in scriptural disclosure. It demonstrates that God not only watches time, he dominates it. The prophetic word of the 70 weeks represents the foundation of end-time study, the pivot that links the ancient and modern writings. What Daniel perceived on the banks of the Euphrates resonates to this occasion. Students of Holy Writ grasp by examining this section that God founded a precise schedule. No kingdom, directive, or force can modify the periods the Lord has established. The apparition granted to Daniel represents the connection between the anointed one who arrived and the one who approaches. Thus, when Gabriel declares 70 weeks are established, he commences the tally of the restorative design. The initial 69 would be completed accurately in Christ's service and demise. The final, the 70th week, still awaits its unfolding in tomorrow at time's termination, when the final agreement will be validated and the world will confront the height of the distress. Daniel remains motionless. The celestial radiance starts to diminish, yet the messenger's utterances continue to blaze in his consciousness. He does not grasp all the particulars, yet he recognizes he has witnessed something beyond his lineage. A blueprint of tomorrow has been traced before his gaze. A sacred schedule that discloses not only the destiny of Israel, but the destiny of all mankind. As Gabriel rises once more into the unseen, the seer whispers a concluding supplication. The breeze stirs the draperies of the chamber and quietness reigns again. Nevertheless, nothing would be identical. Time had been calculated and the sky's tally had commenced. The decree to rebuild. Yet each week concealed a mystery and a fate. The Persian kingdom governed the peoples with magnificence and power. Babylon had collapsed, and presently the Israelites, dispersed throughout the extensive Persian domain, existed under a more accepting government. King Artaxerxes Longimanus reigned resolutely yet receptive to the entreaties of those who attended him faithfully. Among them was Nehemiah, a person of conviction, a residence attendant, yet with a spirit as fragmented as the barriers of his remote metropolis. Jerusalem remained desolate. Its barriers, a representation of Israel's defense and character, had been demolished. Its entryways had been consumed. The utterances of the religious leaders had ceased, and the sacred house songs had been substituted by the resonance of the breeze on the fractured rocks. It was the image of a dormant covenant. Yet God, who observes the ages, was arranging the precise instant when the prophetic timepiece would start to register the moment of deliverance. What Gabriel had declared to Daniel, from the departure of the directive to restore Jerusalem until the consecrated one, the ruler, would start to be completed in the governmental and sacred landscape of the Persian realm. The book of Nehemiah portrays this historic milestone in stirring particularity. The attendant presents himself before the ruler, visibly despondent. Artaxerxes, observing his melancholy, inquires, "Why is your countenance melancholy when you are not ill? This must be melancholy of spirit." Nehemiah 2:2. Nehemiah, fearing for his personal existence, responds, "How should my countenance not be melancholy, observing the metropolis where my father's burial places are remains in devastation, and its entryways have been devoured by blaze?" Nehemiah 2:3. At that instant, the unanticipated occurs. The ruler, a foreign monarch, transforms into a tool of celestial purpose. Artaxerxes provides Nehemiah the authorization and resources essential to restore Jerusalem. It is this historical and celestial permission that commences the tally. 70 Weeks of Daniel. The directive is dated approximately 445 before the Common Era in the 20th year of the governance of Artaxerxes. This royal choice initiates the precise completion of the prophetic word, from the departure of the directive to restore and to construct Jerusalem until the Anointed One, the ruler, will be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Daniel 9:25. The initial 7 prophetic weeks, 49 years, would be dedicated to the bodily and sacred renewal of the sacred metropolis. The restoration process, nevertheless, was neither magnificent nor victorious. It was a passage of weeping, weariness, and resistance. Adversaries ridiculed, declaring, "What are they constructing? If a small animal ascends, it will shatter their rock barrier." Nehemiah 4:3. Yet Nehemiah continued. With one grasp he held his blade, with the other he positioned blocks. It was more than an accomplishment of construction. It was a demonstration of conviction. Each rock substituted on the ancient base represented the revival of a covenant. With each renewed entryway, a phase in the celestial tally was completed. The nation, captured between apprehension and expectation, grasped that they were not merely restoring barriers, but re-establishing the witness of the agreement. These initial 7 weeks signify the commencement of the celestial timepiece, the initial phase of a design that would extend across ages. During this interval, God is quiet, yet he moves. There is no blaze falling from the atmosphere, no horns resounding on the peaks. There are only common persons continuing in conviction against the unfeasible. This is how God's moment advances, between hammers and supplications, between the perspiration of the nation and the quietness of the sea. The directive of Artaxerxes is among the foundations of scriptural end-time study. It registers the initiating point of the messianic schedule, demonstrating that the prophetic word is not representative or unclear but precise and confirmable. When the 69 prophetic weeks, 483 years, commencing in 445 before the Common Era are combined, one arrives accurately at the interval of Christ's service in Jerusalem. This exactness discloses God's authority over time. The Maker not only declares tomorrow, he administers it. Every mortal directive, every kingdom that ascends or collapses is subordinate to the celestial design. The signature of a Persian ruler positioned on an administrative record transforms into a tool of the infinite timepiece. The prophetic word of 70 weeks serves as a reminder that the ages are not arbitrary. Epochs, conflicts, peoples, and even the intervals of mankind are linked by an unseen strand that guides to the ultimate aim, the disclosure of Christ's dominion. Many regard the past and observe only devastation, yet God observes renewal. Just as Jerusalem ascended from the particles, there are covenants that appear forgotten, yet which only await the proper directive at the proper moment. The identical God who stirred the spirit of a pagan ruler to restore a sacred metropolis continues to stir circumstances in benefit of his nation. Daniel interceded, Gabriel disclosed, Nehemiah constructed, and God quietly calculated the days. Celestial constancy is expressed in both grand apparitions and small choices. The period of restoration is a period of examination. It is when the Spirit is formed to maintain the completion of the covenant. With Artaxerxes' signature, God's timepiece commenced ticking. What to mortals was merely a governmental directive, to the sky was the initial tick of a chronometer that would declare the appearance of the Anointed One. The timepiece of infinity awakened, and the prophetic word shifted from the domain of utterances to the domain of occurrences. The barriers of Jerusalem started to ascend again, and with them, expectation arose. Each rock substituted registered the progression of a prophetic moment that continues to resound this day. The particles of the metropolis ascended, yet the prophetic word was only just stirring. Before we proceed with this passage between apparitions, messengers, and realms that ascend and collapse, I wish to request of you a straightforward yet potent gesture. Join the channel and leave your appreciation. This manner you assist us to continue to carry you material that combines conviction, the ages, and disclosure like the one Daniel obtained on the evenings when the atmosphere communicated and the world rested. Presently return with me to that instant when the seer kneels in weeping and the messenger Gabriel falls to declare that God's timepiece is about to restart. The directive had been completed. Jerusalem had been restored, the barriers renewed, and the offering place of the Lord was illuminated again. Nevertheless, after the initial magnificence, a fresh period established itself, a period of anticipation. The nation interceded, yet the sky appeared quiet. Seers like Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Daniel had already completed their assignments. The final prophetic resonance of Malachi still resounded, cautioning of the occasion of the Lord. Yet after that, quietness. No celestial utterance ascended among mortals. No messenger carried communications. Sacred chronicle entered a cryptic interval as though God himself had withdrawn to watch the subsequent movements on the game board of time. This interval is recognized as the 400 years of quietness, the opening between the ancient and modern writings. Nevertheless, God's quietness does not signify his non-attendance. While the sky appeared motionless, the soil was altered. The Lord stirred kingdoms, rulers, and peoples, arranging the platform of the ages for the appearance of the covenanted Anointed One. It was the unseen completion of prediction, the delicate functioning of celestial authority amidst the governmental and cultural transformations of the ancient realm. The Persian kingdom, which had followed Babylon, still maintained influence over many territories. Under its governance, the Israelites experienced relative tranquility and spiritual liberty. The sacred house had been restored, and offerings were once again presented. Yet the nation's sacred blaze was diminishing, and the intensity of the occasions of Nehemiah and Ezra was gradually fading. Conviction transformed into ceremony, devotion into habit. Thus, while Israel became familiar with spiritual practice without disclosure, God was already arranging the shift to a fresh epoch. Then arrived Alexander the Magnificent. Youthful, daring, and imaginative, he advanced across the realm like lightning. He conquered Persia, combined domains, established metropolises, and imposed the Greek tongue on all the defeated peoples. In less than a generation, Hellenism had extended from Macedonia to India. What appeared to be a purely military conquest was in reality a tool of celestial design. The Greek tongue would make feasible ages, subsequently the distribution of the holy writings, and the utterances of Christ in a tongue grasped by almost the complete recognized realm. After Alexander's premature demise, his kingdom separated among generals. Palestine transformed into the location of persistent struggle between the Ptolemies from Egypt and the Seleucids of Syria. Conflicts between these realms positioned God's nation in the crossfire. Oppression increased, and many Israelites were enticed to embrace Greek customs. The sacred house was desecrated, and the ancestral conviction appeared to waver. It was in this situation that one of the age's most brutal figures emerged, Antiochus IV Epiphanes. This Seleucid governor attempted to eliminate the Israelite conviction. He prohibited circumcision, ordered the elimination of the holy writings, and desecrated the sacred house by presenting pagan offerings on the sacred offering place. This abhorrence ignited a rebellion. The Maccabees ascended in opposition. Under the direction of Judas Maccabeus, the nation recaptured Jerusalem and cleansed the sacred house, registering the commencement of the observance that would subsequently be recognized as Hanukkah. It was a spark of expectation in the midst of obscurity. God was still there, quiet yet moving. Greek governance, nevertheless, would soon yield to a fresh authority: Rome. The Roman forces advanced with order and might, defeating extensive territories of the Middle East. In 63 before the Common Era, General Pompey entered Jerusalem, subjecting the Israelite people to Roman governance. The realm, presently combined under Caesar's governance, possessed interconnected roots, a shared tongue, and a governmental framework that would permit the swift extension of concepts, including the gospel. And thus, amidst fractured crowns and following kingdoms, God remained in dominion. Persia, Greece, and Rome, three mortal giants shifted like pieces on the celestial game board. No ruler ascended without aim. No kingdom collapsed without cause. The evident motionlessness of the sky concealed the exactness of the infinite schedule. Every conflict, every conquest, every rebellion, every traced boundary was portion of the assembly of the platform where the utterance would fall into the realm. The ages advanced, and the nation anticipated. The covenants resonated in ancient melodies and assembly chamber readings. The seers had declared that a ruler would be conceived from David's house, that a virgin would bear, that the illumination of the realm would ascend in Bethlehem. Yet nothing occurred. Time appeared suspended between the already declared and the not yet completed. Nevertheless, God's timepiece was not ceased. It was merely anticipating the precise moment when infinity would strike time. And thus it was that after ages of quietness, when sacred weariness was extending and the peoples thought God had forgotten his covenant, the timepiece in the sky struck the precise moment. The Roman kingdom was at its peak. The Greek tongue was combining the peoples, and Israel was directing its gaze to the sky in pursuit of rescue. Everything was prepared. The governmental, cultural, and sacred landscape of the realm was merging on a single occurrence, the embodiment of the Son of God. And when the moment was fulfilled, the utterance transformed into flesh. The Messiah's arrival. The ancient rocks of Jerusalem mirrored the precious illumination of twilight. The resonance of footfalls and utterances filled the confined passages. Pilgrims from all over arrived to observe Passover, the celebration of rescue. Yet that year, something different was in the atmosphere. A person from Galilee, recognized by many and feared by others, was approaching the metropolis on a donkey. Crowds encircled him, extending coverings on the soil, waving branch vegetation and declaring, "Hosanna to David's son! Blessed is he who arrives in the Lord's name." Matthew 21:9. The occurrence appeared straightforward to mortal gaze, just another seer entering Jerusalem. Nevertheless, in the unseen domains, something grand was occurring. God's schedule, established in movement by Artaxerxes' directive, was reaching its precise instant. Precisely 483 years had elapsed since the order to restore Jerusalem. The 69 weeks of Daniel's prophetic periods reached their peak, and the covenanted consecrated one made his entrance into the sacred metropolis. The precision of this prophetic word is among the most extraordinary evidences of the celestial motivation of Holy Writ. When Daniel obtained the disclosure of the 70 weeks, the messenger Gabriel had declared, "From the departure of the directive to restore and to construct Jerusalem until the Anointed One, the ruler, will be 7 weeks and 62 weeks." Daniel 9:25. Each of these weeks signifies 7 years, and combining them, 69 multiplied by 7, we reach 483 years, tallying from 445 before the Common Era, the date of Artaxerxes' directive. The prophetic schedule guides us directly to the interval of Christ's service and his victorious entrance into Jerusalem. Nothing is unintentional, not the moment, not the approach, not the representation. Jesus enters not on a conflict animal but on a donkey, the creature of tranquility, completing Zechariah's prophetic word. "Behold, your ruler arrives to you, upright and with rescue, humble and riding on a donkey." Zechariah 9:9. That instant confirmed the completion of ages of anticipation. The covenanted Anointed One had appeared. The sky and soil encountered in the particles of the root as the crowd declared, "Hosanna." The spiritual leaders observed with disquiet. What was delight for the nation was a danger for the influential. Jesus wept over Jerusalem, declaring, "If you had recognized even in this day of yours the matters that carry you tranquility, yet presently they are concealed from your gaze." Luke 19:42. These utterances are profoundly prophetic. Christ recognized that this was the occasion, the precise occasion registered on God's schedule, the literal completion of Daniel's prophetic word. And he also recognized that Israel would not acknowledge it. God's timing is flawless, yet the mortal spirit is not perpetually prepared to grasp it. The identical nation that declared Hosanna would several days subsequently demand, "Execute him." The prophetic word continued, and the timepiece continued to tick. The consecrated one declared by the seers and anticipated by lineages was about to be dismissed by those who should have received him. As the 69 weeks had fulfilled each other, the 70th had not yet commenced. The Anointed One positioned at the center of the ages, completing not just ancient utterances, but the infinite design of rescue. Every gesture, every wonder, every weeping shed in Jerusalem was linked to celestial aim. The followers did not fully grasp, yet the sky recognized. The moment of deliverance had arrived. The prophetic chronology unfolded before mortal gaze, and almost no one observed. What Daniel had observed in apparition was presently being completed in flesh and existence. God himself walked among mortals, and the utterance through whom all matters were created entered the metropolis that had been constructed to receive him, yet which would dismiss him. Jesus instructed in the sacred house, confronted the Pharisees, restored the ill, and disclosed the dominion. Each utterance was an infinite seed. He not only completed prediction, he was prediction embodied. The code and the seers discovered in him their affirmation and their verification. The Anointed One, the ruler of tranquility, was advancing toward the completion of his fate, the offering that would confirm the fresh agreement. Yet Daniel had also documented a solemn particular. After the 62 weeks, the consecrated one will be eliminated, and not for himself. Daniel 9:26. This statement resonates as a foreshadowing of Calvary. The Anointed One would be eliminated not for absence of strength but for affection, not for conquest but for surrender. The prophetic word, which commenced with the directive of an earthly ruler, would reach its peak in the vital fluid of the celestial ruler being poured out for all mankind. And thus God's timepiece registered the most decisive instant in the ages, the point where time and infinity encounter. The Anointed One had arrived at the precise moment, not earlier, not afterward, and completed step by step all that had been established. His victorious entrance into Jerusalem was not the commencement of his earthly magnificence, but the prelude to his infinite surrender. The messengers observed, the seers anticipated, the cosmos suspended its respiration. The Lamb walked toward the offering place of the realm, and the celestial timepiece, which had commenced ages before with Daniel, approached a sacred interval, the instant when the Son of God would be offered to deliver fallen mankind. The ultimate sacrifice. Yet the seer had declared, the consecrated one will be removed, and not by himself. The atmosphere over Jerusalem obscured at midday. The solar body, which had so often illuminated the sacred house and its offerings, presently concealed behind dense clouds. The breeze blew forcefully over Golgotha, and the complete realm appeared to suspend its respiration. 3 crosses positioned on the elevation signified in the gaze of the kingdom just another common execution. Yet for the sky, that instant was the very point at which the infinite design of deliverance was completed. At the center, the Son of God, the unblemished Lamb, was about to confirm the fresh agreement with his personal existence's vital fluid. This was no common offering. Since Eden, mankind had existed under the burden of blame. Since Abraham, lambs and goats had been offered, their vital fluid poured on offering places that directed toward something greater. Every presentation, every droplet spilled, every religious leader officiating before the covering foreshadowed what was presently disclosed in completeness. The genuine Lamb of God was being presented in compensation for the wrongs of all peoples. As the spikes tore through his grasps and feet, ancient prophetic words were completed one by one. Isaiah had predicted, "He was injured for our rebellions. He was crushed for our transgressions. Isaiah 53:5. The psalmist had inscribed, "They penetrated my grasps and my feet." Psalm 22:16. Everything that had been communicated was arriving to occur with celestial exactness. God's schedule, commenced ages earlier with the directive of Artaxerxes, presently reached its most solemn instant, the demise of the consecrated one. Around the cross, the crowd jeered. The soldiers cast chances for their garments. The spiritual leaders coldly observed the result they had so desired. Yet above all, the sky watched the flawless completion of his fairness and compassion. The Maker yielded his Son. The Son yielded himself. The cross was simultaneously the offering place and the seat, the offering and the conquest. When Jesus raised his gaze and exclaimed, "It is completed," John 19:30, the complete cosmos transformed. Obscurity covered the soil and the ground trembled. Inside the sacred house, the covering separating the Holy of Holies was ripped from summit to foundation. The obstacle between God and mankind had been eliminated. The ancient agreement based on continual offerings had reached a termination. The vital fluid of the infinite Lamb confirmed once and for all the restoration between the Maker and formation. That ripping of the covering was not merely a representative indication. It was the observable document of a sacred reality. The route into God's manifestation was revealed. The flawless offering substituted all previous ones. The earthly offering place had transformed into the meeting point between time and infinity. The prophetic timepiece, which had operated uninterrupted since the occasions of Daniel, ceased at that instant, not because the design had terminated, but because it had been completed to the fullest extent. 69 weeks were fulfilled. As Jesus' frame suspended on the cross, the sacred realm observed in reverence. Satan thought he had conquered, yet the cross was his conquest. The vital fluid staining the timber did not signify failure but freedom. The dominion of God had been commenced not with blades, but with spikes, not with crowns of precious metal, but with a crown of thorns. The ruler had conquered through affection. Christ's frame was removed from the cross and positioned in a borrowed burial place. The hours that followed appeared infinite for the followers. It was the termination of everything. The Anointed One had perished. The vision was fractured. Yet behind the scenes of infinity, something tremendous was occurring. The offering was being displayed before the seat. Celestial fairness was fulfilled. Wrongdoing was compensated for. The underworld was conquered. The offering of Calvary is the pivot of mortal chronicle. Everything before it directs to its necessity. Everything after it derives from its strength. At that instant, time was separated, before Christ and after Christ. The cross transformed into the zero registration of deliverance, the point at which the prophetic schedule pauses. God had completed what he had covenanted through Daniel. The consecrated one had been eliminated not for himself, but for wrongdoers. The timepiece presently anticipated the resumption, the concluding prophetic week, still reserved for time's termination. As Jesus' frame remained in the burial place, quietness reigned once again. Yet this was not a quietness of non-attendance. It was the quietness of victory about to be disclosed. The sky was arranging for the third occasion. The design was fulfilled up to that point, and the celestial tally had ceased precisely where it should have, anticipating the subsequent act of the restorative drama, the rising and ages subsequently, the concluding fulfillment. At Calvary, vital fluid communicated louder than wrongdoing. Affection conquered the code, and time bowed before infinity. The prophetic timepiece had ceased, yet only for an instant. The interval registered the commencement of a fresh epoch, the epoch of favor, the moment when the gospel would extend throughout the peoples as the realm anticipated the concluding week of God's design. 69 weeks fulfilled and one still quiet's time. The vital fluid of the Lamb had been poured out. The covering of the sacred house had been ripped. The ancient agreement had reached a termination. and a fresh dispensation was commencing, the period of favor, the prophetic opening between the 69th and 70th weeks of Daniel. The Church age. At the cross, time ceased. At Pentecost, it commenced again at a different rhythm. The prophetic tally had been suspended, and a secret hitherto concealed from the seers started to be disclosed: the formation of the assembly, the sacred body of Christ. In the occasions following the rising, the realm witnessed something unprecedented. The executed Anointed One ascended from demise and presented himself to the followers, validating everything the seers had predicted. 40 occasions subsequently, before witnesses, he rose to the sky. And 10 occasions subsequently, in Jerusalem, the Holy Spirit fell upon those who anticipated in supplication. Tongues of blaze rested upon each of them, and they commenced to communicate in different tongues. The covenant made by Christ, "You will obtain strength when the Holy Spirit has arrived upon you," was completed before everyone's gaze. It was the commencement of the assembly, not as a mortal organization, but as a sacred organism. Straightforward persons transformed into witnesses of the risen one. The communication extended swiftly, traversing boundaries and tongues. That small gathering of followers altered the trajectory of the ages. The gospel reached Samaria, then the Gentile metropolises, and ultimately reached the core of the Roman kingdom. The realm that once positioned a cross to terminate the Savior presently constructed offering places to revere him. While favor extended, Israel followed a different route. The nation that dismissed the Anointed One would confront the results of their unbelief. In 70 after the Common Era, the Roman forces under the directive of Titus besieged Jerusalem. The sacred house was consumed, the barriers eliminated, and thousands perished. The people was dispersed. Thus were completed Jesus's utterances: "Not one rock will be positioned upon another that will not be cast down." Israel would be dispersed among the peoples, and Daniel's prophetic timepiece would persist paused until the designated moment. Yet God had not dismissed his nation. The Apostle Paul in his letter to the Romans announces that Israel's hardening is partial and temporary, an interval that permits the rescue of the Gentiles. The assembly emerges in this space as the completion of a secret that not even the messengers fully grasped. Paul himself calls this disclosure the secret concealed for ages, God's design to combine Israelites and Gentiles into one body through conviction in Christ. Ephesians 3:6. The epoch of favor is therefore the moment of the Spirit. There is no longer a bodily sacred house where God resides. Presently he resides in the spirits of believers. Every delivered existence transforms into a sanctuary. Offering is no longer presented on rock offering places, but in submission, devotion, and affection. God's manifestation is not restricted to one geography, but extended throughout the realm through his nation. During this interval, the gospel endured ages of oppression, conflicts, and revolutions. Kingdoms fragmented, rulers transformed, yet the utterance persisted. From Jerusalem to Rome, from Rome to Europe, from Europe to the Americas, the communication of rescue advanced, completing the Lord's directive. Proceed into all the realm and declare the gospel to every creature. The period of the assembly is the moment of declaration, the moment in which the dominion is declared before the ruler's restoration. Nevertheless, this epoch is also registered by the strain between the already and the not yet. The dominion has been commenced, yet not yet fulfilled. The risen Christ governs sacredly, yet the realm persists under the authority of wrongdoing and rebellion. The gospel advances, yet transgression also increases. The Holy Spirit persuades, yet many oppose. The assembly walks between covenant and expectation, between partial completion and anticipating the termination. Israel persists a prophetic indication. Its dispersion completed one prophetic word. Its revival ages subsequently will complete another. Yet for presently, the concentration is on the assembly, the body of Christ on assignment. This is the moment of compassion, the interval in which rescue is presented to all. Each being reached is a piece in the mosaic of the infinite design. Each lineage that believes carries the realm closer to the concluding stroke of the celestial timepiece. The seers did not clearly observe this opening. Daniel observed 70 continuous weeks, yet he did not perceive the valley between the 69th and 70th. This valley is our moment, the interval of the Holy Spirit, the secret of devotion at function in the realm. The prophetic timepiece has not been eliminated. It has merely been paused, anticipating the instant when God will again deal directly with Israel and complete the concluding week of prediction, the moment of distress and concluding reckoning. We therefore exist in God's suspended moment, the epoch of favor. It is the interval when the entry is still revealed, when pardon is still presented, and when the gospel is still declared. Yet this opening will not be infinite. When the completeness of the Gentiles is fulfilled, the timepiece will initiate again, and the concentration will restore to Israel. The cross registered the commencement. The rapture will register the termination of this interval. And when the assembly is removed from the soil, the prophetic quietness will terminate. And Daniel's final week will commence to unfold before the realm. Therefore, this is the moment of conviction and watchfulness. God's timepiece can strike again at any instant, because the timepiece was not eliminated, just suspended. Israel's rebirth. For nearly 2 millennia, Israel terminated to exist as a people. Its nation was dispersed to the 4 corners of the soil, their territories occupied by following kingdoms, and their name was all but forgotten on realm charts. Jerusalem transformed into a representation of devastation and disputes, yet not of authority. To mortal gaze, the vision of a restoration appeared unfeasible, a story terminated, a covenant forgotten. Nevertheless, for God, nothing is unfeasible. What appeared to be a termination was merely an interval. The timepiece of the Almighty interrupted since Calvary anticipated the precise instant to resume its trajectory. Ezekiel's prophetic word resonated through the ages like a dormant seed. I will cause respiration to enter you, and you shall exist. I will position sinews in you, and I will carry up flesh on you, and I will cover you with flesh, and I will position respiration in you, and you shall exist. Ezekiel 37:6. The seer had observed in apparition a valley filled with parched bones, a representation of dispersed and lifeless Israel. Yet God had covenanted to respire again upon those nations and restore them to their territory. And when the realm least anticipated it, this apparition commenced to be completed. At the termination of the 19th century, amid the advance of rationalism and European industrialization, a subtle movement commenced to increase: Zionism. Israelites dispersed throughout the peoples commenced to vision of returning to their ancestral homeland. Theodor Herzl, considered the father of this movement, inscribed in 1896, "If they desire, it will not be a vision." A year subsequently, in 1897, the initial Zionist Congress in Basel formalized the design to restore a national residence for the Israelite nation in Palestine. As the modern realm advanced, God interlaced the strands of his covenant. The initial world conflict, with all its tragedy, paved the route for a decisive governmental transformation. The Ottoman Kingdom, which had dominated the Holy Territory for ages, fragmented. England assumed the mandate over the territory and in 1917 issued the Balfour Declaration, acknowledging the right of Israelites to restore to their homeland. Thousands commenced to restore. Small settlements transformed into villages. Villages transformed into metropolises. Hebrew, a nearly extinct tongue, was revived as a national tongue. And in 1948, after the horror of the Holocaust and the termination of World War II, the unfeasible occurred. Israel was revived as a people. On the occasion, May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion declared the independence of the State of Israel. Radio stations declared the historic accomplishment, and the realm ceased to perceive. Amidst the geopolitical chaos, an ancient prophetic word materialized before the cameras and newspapers. Isaiah's utterances resonated more vividly than ever. Who has perceived of such a matter? Can soil be conceived in a day? Can a people be conceived at once? Isaiah 66:8. The reply was before the realm's gaze. Soon after the announcement, Arab forces encircled the fresh state, established to eliminate it before it was even conceived. Yet Israel opposed. Against all chances, the freshly formed nation overcame the conflict of independence, securing its authority and domain. Each battle fought, each conquest gained, was another section of celestial constancy. God completed his covenant. Fear not, for I have delivered you. I have summoned you by name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. Since then, the small territory has flourished in the middle of the wasteland. Once barren territories have transformed into fertile fields. Ancient metropolises have resurfaced, and the complete realm has directed its gaze to Jerusalem. The restoration of the Israelite nation to their territory is not merely a historical reality. It represents a prophetic indication. It signifies the resetting of the mechanisms of the end-time timepiece. The fig tree, representation of Israel in Jesus' utterances, has sprouted again. Christ had declared in Matthew 24:32-34, "Presently learn a parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already transformed tender and presents forth leaves, you recognize that summer approaches." The fig tree's blossoming is an indication that the final periods are approaching, and this blossoming commenced in 1948. Since then, the prophetic landscape has been reorganized. The dispersing terminated, and the nation restored to the covenanted territory. Israel's revival has also reignited global interest in scriptural prediction. Many students have grasped that the restoration of the Israelite nation is not a governmental coincidence, but a literal completion of Holy Writ. National renewal is the initial phase of God's concluding design, the prelude to Daniel's 70th week. From this point onward, prediction will once again concentrate on Jerusalem, the metropolis where the Anointed One was dismissed and where he will restore to govern. This day, every occurrence involving Israel, every struggle, every agreement, every territorial transformation resonates within the prophetic line. The mere reality that the people exists again is breathing evidence that God completes his utterance to the letter. The nation who wandered for ages without a homeland, oppressed and humiliated, presently positions foot in the covenanted territory, maintained by celestial providence. The revival of Israel not only registers the completion of ancient covenants, but also heralds the commencement of a fresh phase in the end-time design. It represents the direction indication, evidence that the timepiece paused since the cross is about to initiate ticking again. The platform is established. The prophetic words merge and the realm observes, often without grasping, as the sacred center of the ages has once again commenced to pulse in Jerusalem. The fig tree blossomed, the people was revived, and the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob demonstrates the realm once again that none of his utterances collapse to the soil. What he covenanted he completes in his moment with his exactness and for his magnificence. The mechanisms of prophetic moment rotate again. The final week begins. Daniel's prophetic word had declared that after the 69 weeks, there would still be one persisting, the 70th. This concluding prophetic week, consisting of 7 years, signifies the obscurest and most decisive interval in mortal chronicle. It represents the moment when the celestial timepiece initiates ticking again. The concentration restores to Israel, and the realm enters the concluding phase before Christ's restoration. Chapter 9 of the book of Daniel describes the occurrence that will register the commencement of this tally. He will validate the agreement with many for 1 week. Daniel 9:27. Chronicle then advances toward a global crisis situation. Conflicts, governmental instability, and economic fragmentation pave the route for the ascent of a singular leader. He will not emerge by chance, but from the devastation of an exhausted global framework. His communication will enchant crowds. He will communicate of tranquility, combination, and expectation. He will covenant to restore equilibrium among peoples and guarantee security where apprehension governs. In the gaze of the realm, he will present as a rescuer. In the gaze of prediction, he will be the Antichrist, the person of lawlessness, the creature that ascends from the crowds. Revelation 13. With unprecedented governmental skill, he will combine economies, frameworks, and spiritual practices under a single direction. His charisma will transcend boundaries. His influence will reach all nations. The realm, exhausted of separations, will applaud him. And in the name of tranquility, he will propose a historic pact, a 7-year agreement involving Israel and other peoples, an accord that will carry evident stability to the Middle East. This agreement will be observed as the greatest diplomatic breakthrough in modern chronicle. Ultimately, Israel will experience an interval of calmness, and the ancient sacred house in Jerusalem will be restored. Yet what the realm will term tranquility, the sky will acknowledge as deception. The prophetic word describes not merely a governmental accord but a sacred snare. The Antichrist, the ruler who must arrive, will create a false alliance with many, possibly leaders and blocks of peoples. Yet his objective will not be tranquility. It will be dominion. He will use the covenant of stability to consolidate strength and establish the platform for his complete disclosure. During the initial half of this final week, the realm will experience a seeming renaissance. There will be economic prosperity, technological advances, and discourse of a fresh epoch of brotherhood. Peoples will cooperate under a single utterance, and global spiritual practice will gain might, declaring tolerance and sacred combination. Nevertheless, it will be a combination without verity, a conviction without a cross, a spiritual practice without turning back. Mortals will be exalted in the position of God, and the Antichrist framework will flourish under the disguise of illumination. Israel in sequence will once again be the center of attention. The sacred house will be restored, and the offering framework renewed. The nation will observe, believing that the ancient covenants have ultimately been completed. The realm will applaud the historic accord that carried tranquility to the Middle East. Yet what few will grasp is that this will be only the calmness before the tempest. Daniel's prophetic word is evident. In the middle of the week, he will cause offering and presentation to terminate. Daniel 9:27. The identical leader who founded the agreement will be the one who fractures it, disclosing his genuine colors. This initial phase of evident tranquility will serve as arrangement for the chaos to arrive. The Antichrist will use 3 pillars to consolidate his power: global governance, centralized economy, and combined spiritual practice. Through manipulation, he will gain spirits and consciousness. He will not seize strength by force, but will be enthroned by the desire of the nation. Mankind, fascinated by his wisdom and the results of his direction, will acclaim him as the leader the realm has been anticipating. During this interval, the seers of Holy Writ caution that the assembly will no longer be on soil, having been raptured before the complete expression of the creature, and God will once again deal directly with Israel. The end-time concentration will transform completely. These will be occasions of choice when mortal spirits will be examined, and verity will transform increasingly uncommon. The mechanisms of prophetic moment, dormant since Calvary, will commence to rotate again. The realm, without comprehending it, will be existing through the initial 3.5 years of Daniel's final week. An epoch of evident governmental magnificence will unfold while evil ripens in the darkness. The sacred house of Jerusalem, restored and consecrated, will be the ultimate representation of illusion, the signal that the platform is established for the concluding rupture. The Antichrist, with the support of realm leaders, will consolidate his grasp on economies and forces. A fresh framework of dominion will emerge based on technology and global surveillance. Everything will present stable, yet beneath the surface, the abyss is already revealing. Prediction describes this interval as tranquility and security. Yet Paul cautions, when nations declare tranquility and security, then sudden elimination will arrive upon them. 1 Thessalonians 5:3. Thus, the initial half of the concluding week will be registered by the flawless illusion. A realm that believes it has achieved utopia, yet is genuinely heading toward reckoning. The pact between the Antichrist and Israel will not carry deliverance, but will be the commencement of the greatest distress in Chronicle. The ancient seers and apostles foresaw this moment and cautioned that mortals would revere falsehoods in the name of verity. The realm fascinated by diplomacy and indications of prosperity will be unable to perceive that the genuine aim of the agreement is to eliminate the agreement nation and challenge the God of Israel. When the Antichrist ultimately fractures the agreement, disclosing his genuine intentions, the realm will observe that the tranquility it enchanted was merely a carefully assembled illusion. The seventh horn has not yet resounded, yet the resonances of the prophetic word will already be perceived. The abyss is about to reveal, yet behind the signatures the abyss already lurks. The abomination of desolation. 3.5 years of evident tranquility had elapsed. The realm had become familiar with the stability fostered by the grand leader. Israel prospered. The restored sacred house transformed into a representation of national revival, and the peoples regarded Jerusalem with admiration. The ancient metropolis, so often the location of conflict and devastation, had transformed into a center of pilgrimages and accords. The signed agreement appeared to complete the vision of tranquil coexistence. Yet what the realm observed as magnificence, the sky observed as deception. God's prophetic timepiece registered the shift point, the middle of the week, the precise instant the pact would be fractured. Daniel had precisely predicted, in the middle of the week he will cause offering and presentation to terminate. Daniel 9:27. The person of deception, who had until then displayed himself as a tranquility creator, would disclose his genuine nature. He who had covenanted to combine the realm in harmony would presently disclose his oldest desire, to be revered as a deity. The sacred house restored in honor of the Lord would be altered into the platform for the greatest blasphemy in Chronicle. Offering would terminate not by God's desire, but by the impostor's imposition. The Antichrist will enter the sacred position with arrogance and desecration. Paul Ages subsequently described this instant in his letter to the Thessalonians. The person of wrongdoing positions in the sacred house of God, demonstrating himself to be God. 2 Thessalonians 2:4. This will be the abhorrence of devastation mentioned by Daniel and validated by Christ himself in Matthew 24:15. The act of usurpation will be so serious that the Lord himself cautioned. Therefore, when you observe the abhorrence that causes devastation communicated of through Daniel the seer, then escape to the peaks. The illusory tranquility will fracture in an instant. The realm will observe the genuine countenance of the global dictator. The sacred house, once a representation of expectation, will be invaded and defiled. The Antichrist will position his representation in the Holy of Holies and demand universal devotion. At that instant, his agreement with Israel will be definitively fractured. The selected nation who once observed him as their defender will comprehend their deception and be furiously oppressed. This occurrence registers the commencement of the grand distress, the obscurest interval in mortal chronicle. The seer Jeremiah termed it a moment of Jacob's difficulty. Jeremiah 30:7. It will be a moment when Israel will confront unprecedented oppression, escaping through the wastelands, concealing in the peaks, pursuing shelter from the anger of the tyrant. The realm in sequence will plunge into chaos. The evident order will disintegrate, and the global framework will alter into a kingdom of terror. The desecration of the sacred house will be the centerpiece of the Antichrist's governance. His representation will be imposed throughout the realm, and those who refuse to revere it will be terminated. The book of Revelation describes this instant in particularity. He was granted strength to grant respiration to the representation of the creature, so that it could both communicate and cause all who would not revere it to be terminated. Revelation 13:15. Devotion of the genuine God will be prohibited. Conviction will be criminalized. Verity will be quieted. Israel will comprehend too late that the pact they had created was with the adversary of their personal conviction. Yet God, constant to his agreement, will not abandon them. A remnant will be preserved, persons who will acknowledge the anointed one they dismissed and demand for his rescue. These constant ones will be defended in positions arranged by God, while the realm experiences the complete burden of God's anger. From this point onward, soil will transform into the platform for the concluding battle between good and evil. The Antichrist, possessed by Satan, will consolidate his global kingdom. He will dominate commerce, governance, and communications. No one will be able to acquire or vend without the registration of his power, the representation of total submission to his authority. Satanic strength disguised as order and advancement will reach its maximum expression. Mortals at the height of their pride will attempt to occupy the seat of God. Yet even in the obscurity, God will maintain his illumination blazing. Seers will ascend declaring verity amidst the chaos. Two of them described in Revelation 11 will declare powerfully in Jerusalem, declaring the arriving reckoning and summoning for turning back. Their communication will resound like a horn. Fear God and grant him magnificence, because the hour of his reckoning has arrived. The realm will despise them, yet it will not be able to quiet them. The fracturing of the agreement and the desecration of the sacred house will not only be governmental occurrences, but sacred expressions of the infinite struggle between the Maker and the rebellious creature. The soil will witness the height of mortal rebellion, and simultaneously the celestial constancy that does not abandon his nation. Everything Daniel observed in visions, the kingdoms, the creatures, the realms that ascend and collapse, will reach their peak in this instant. And thus the prophetic timepiece, quiet for ages, will tick toward its peak. The interval of tranquility will rotate to terror, and the sanctuary once consecrated to the God of Israel will be occupied by the usurper. Prediction will assume form before the gaze of the realm. And what was once a covenant will transform into observable reality. The Antichrist will believe he has conquered. His seat will be in Jerusalem, and his representation will be revered. Yet unknown to him, he will only be completing what God has already established. Because even deception, even desecration are under the authority of the Supreme One. No act of the adversary evades the Infinite's dominion. The evident conquest of obscurity will be the harbinger of dawn, and thus commences the interval of obscurity, the grand distress. The agreement had been fractured. The sacred house had been desecrated. The realm was presently plunging into an abyss of no restoration. The Great Tribulation. The grand distress had commenced. What had once been tranquility and prosperity was rotating to chaos and despair. Mankind, which had trusted its personal leaders, presently confronted the burden of celestial anger. The sky, which had persisted quiet for ages, revealed to pour out fairness upon a soil that had dismissed the verity. The moment for compassion was at a termination, and the prophetic timepiece was ticking toward its concluding revolutions. The book of Revelation describes this interval as the most terrible in mortal chronicle. Conflicts, famines, earthquakes, plagues, and catastrophes sweep the planet. The natural equilibrium is disrupted. The oceans rotate vital fluid crimson. The celestial bodies collapse, and the solar body loses its radiance. Nation of all peoples pursue refuge, yet there is no shelter that can conceal them from the reckoning of the Supreme One. The Apostle John in his apparition describes the revealing of 7 confirmations, the contact of 7 horns, and the spilling of 7 vessels, representations of the completeness of God's anger being disclosed upon the realm. Upon fracturing the initial confirmation, the horseman of deception presents, signifying the strength of the Antichrist, who conquers through falsehoods and false tranquility. The second confirmation features the crimson animal, a representation of conflict that reaps millions. The third animal, obscure as evening, signifies famine and economic fragmentation. The fourth, pale as demise, carries plagues and epidemics. The fifth confirmation demonstrates the martyrs demanding under the offering place, requesting fairness. The sixth carries cosmic shocks, and the seventh paves the route for the horns of reckoning. With each horn blast, fresh disasters strike the soil. The initial blast establishes a third of the forests ablaze. The second rotates the ocean to vital fluid. The third contaminates freshwater. The fourth obscures the solar body, lunar body, and celestial bodies. At the fifth blast, demonic beings are released from the abyss, tormenting mankind for lunar cycles. The sixth unleashes a supernatural force that terminates a third of mankind. And even confronting such elimination, the Holy Writ declares that mortals did not turn back of the functions of their grasps. Revelation 9:20. Among the reckonings, there are also indications of compassion. God raises up 2 witnesses in Jerusalem, potent seers who declare the verity for 3.5 years. Confronting the Antichrist's hostility, their utterances resound like horns of caution. They are terminated by the creature yet are risen before everyone, and rise to the sky amid an earthquake that trembles the sacred metropolis. The realm observes yet persists in rebellion. The 7 vessels of anger fulfill celestial reckoning. Incurable diseases strike those who obtain the registration of the creature. The oceans and rivers rotate to vital fluid. The solar body blazes with deadly warmth. Obscurity covers the seat of the Antichrist, and evil spirits proceed forth to deceive the peoples, gathering them for the concluding battle, Armageddon. Every reckoning is fair, every plague is deserved, and yet the mortal spirit persists in challenging the Maker. In this situation, Israel once again transforms into the center of struggle. Oppressed by the Antichrist, the nation assumes refuge in the wasteland, defended by the grasp of God. This is the completion of the utterances of Daniel and Revelation. A constant remnant will be preserved, while the rest of the realm suffers the results of rebellion. Israel's suffering, nevertheless, will possess an aim: to guide the people to turning back and arrange it to acknowledge the genuine Anointed One. Meanwhile, on soil, civilization fragments. Metropolises are eliminated, forces clash, and the global economy crumbles. Nature corrupted by mortal wrongdoing and idolatry reacts furiously. The complete planet groans, completing what Paul inscribed to the Romans. The whole formation has been groaning and suffering until presently. Mankind in its arrogance attempts to oppose, yet uncovers that no science, technology, or governmental strength can cease God's reckoning. The utterance of the seers once ignored presently resonates amidst the devastation. Jesus' utterances are completed one by one. There will be grand distress such as has not been since the start of the realm until this moment. No, nor ever shall be. This is the moment when the Lord permits mankind to reap what it has planted. The peoples who have ascended against God and His consecrated one will taste the vessel of anger they themselves have arranged. Yet even at the height of elimination, there is a beam of expectation. Amidst the rubble, many rotate to God. Persons who had never perceived the gospel will remember the utterances of the seers and demand for compassion. A sacred force will ascend, the 144,000 confirmed ones of Israel, declaring the communication of the dominion. The sky still presents favor. Even as soil experiences reckoning, God's aim is not only to punish, but to cleanse. The distress is also an interval of disclosure in which evil is exposed and celestial magnificence approaches. Everything advances toward the grand result, the restoration of the ruler. The confirmations, horns, and vessels are not merely punishments, but steps in the process of universal renewal. The God who reckons is the identical one who rescues. The one who pours out anger is the identical one who presents pardon. And thus the scene is established. The realm eliminated, the Antichrist on his seat, Israel encircled, and the sky arranged for the concluding instant. Mankind positions before the abyss, and the moment of selection draws to a termination. The final horn resonance and reckoning reaches its peak. Yet even as the thunder declares the termination, there is still a small utterance summoning. Arrive to me, all you who labor and are weighty laden, and I will grant you rest. And yet favor whispers to those who desire to rotate to God. The soil was plunged into obscurity. The Antichrist's governance had reached its peak. Peoples were subjugated. The economy dominated, and genuine conviction appeared to have been eliminated. The complete realm bowed before the representation of the creature, erected in honor of the dictator who presently announced himself God. Yet amidst apprehension and madness, one gathering refused to bend the knee. They were these holy ones of opposition, persons who preferred to perish rather than deny the name of Christ. These constant did not pursue strength or acknowledgement. They existed in concealment, escaping metropolises and surveillance frameworks, gathering in caves, wastelands, and peaks. Many were hunted as wrongdoers, yet they carried in their spirits an unshakable certainty. Be constant until demise, and I will grant you the crown of existence. Revelation 2:10. Each of them recognized that their moment of examination had reached a termination, yet rescue was still within reach of those who ventured to believe. Prediction communicates of these persons with reverence. John observed them in apparition. I observed the beings of those who had been terminated because of their witness to Jesus and because of the utterance of God, and who had not revered the creature or its representation. Revelation 24. They are breathing witness that conviction can endure even in the underworld of oppression. In the midst of obscurity, they transform into flaming torches, reminding the realm that illumination still illuminates in the darkness. During this interval, God confirms 144,000 Israelites of the 12 tribes of Israel, not as a representative digit, but as a signification of the constant remnant who will declare the gospel of the dominion. They will not be corrupted by the creature's framework or the realm's idolatry. They will be tireless witnesses declaring amidst the chaos, summoning for turning back and declaring that reckoning is imminent. The Holy Writ describes them as those who follow the Lamb wherever he proceeds. Revelation 14:4. Along with them, there present two potent seers raised up by God to witness in Jerusalem. For 3.5 years, they will challenge the Antichrist with fiery utterances. Their utterances will resound among the devastation of the sacred metropolis, denouncing idolatry and declaring the restoration of the ruler. No one will be able to cease them until they fulfill their assignment. When they are terminated, their frames will be exposed in the passages of Jerusalem, while the realm observes their demise as the conquest of evil. Yet after 3.5 occasions, God's spirit of existence will rise them before everyone, and they will rise to the sky. The scene will be broadcast to the realm, and terror will extend throughout the peoples. Meanwhile, the oppression of the holy ones will intensify. Those who refuse to obtain the registration of the creature, the indication of faithfulness to the global framework, will be excluded from society. They will be unable to acquire or vend. They will be hunted, tortured, and executed, yet the Lamb observes over them. Their names are inscribed in the book of existence, and their weeping are maintained in precious vessels before the seat. They are the seed of conviction, planted with vital fluid to flourish in infinity. The holy ones of opposition will not battle with weapons, but with witness. Their might will arrive not from the blade, but from expectation. They will ascend as solitary utterances amidst the submissive crowd. Some will declare in deserted passages. Others will sing in confinement, and many will yield their existences. Each martyr will be a demand of conquest against the authority of evil, and while the realm terms them fools, the sky terms them conquerors. In apparition, John beholds a multitude beyond tallying, arriving from every people, tribe, and tongue, dressed in white and grasping branch vegetation in their grasps. These are the ones who have arrived out of the grand distress, announces the celestial elder, and have washed their garments and created them white in the vital fluid of the Lamb. Revelation 7:14. Their suffering will not be forgotten. Every droplet of vital fluid poured out will transform into an infinite witness against the dominion of obscurity. During this moment, the Spirit of God will still be at function, no longer residing in the raptured assembly, but advancing upon those who believe during the distress. The communication will be evident and urgent. Fear God and grant him magnificence, because the hour of his reckoning has arrived. Many upon perceiving will comprehend too late their error in dismissing the verity. Yet turning back, they will yield their existences as a concluding presentation. The complete realm will witness this quiet opposition. While the Antichrist positions statues, the constant present supplications. While the creature framework dominates markets and media, the holy ones dominate the only strength the adversary cannot eliminate: conviction. No mortal directive will be able to erase the name of Christ from their tongues. Even in the chambers of demise they will announce, "The Lord governs." This witness to the termination will be the final declaration of the gospel before Jesus' magnificent restoration. The Holy One's endurance will demonstrate that conviction is not eliminated by oppression but refined by it. In each martyr, God inscribes a reply to mankind's rebellion, and when the final of them respires their final, the sky will advance. The horns will resound, the sky will reveal, and the Lamb will fall to create a termination to the kingdom of evil. The vital fluid of the holy ones will demand for fairness, and God will reply. The beings anticipating beneath the offering place will perceive the summons. There will be no longer any postponement. The witness of the constant will terminate the phase of mortal rebellion. Celestial forbearance will rotate into action, and the sovereign of sovereigns will ascend to reckon and restore. The moment of opposition will transform into the moment of deliverance. The atmosphere reveals and expectation arrives riding down. Christ's return and the millennial kingdom. The sky had revealed. Christ had restored in magnificence, riding a white animal accompanied by the celestial forces dressed in fine, dazzling linen. The sovereign of sovereigns and Lord of lords had fallen to earth to create a termination to the rebellion and usher in a fresh epoch, the millennial dominion. The creature and the false seer were cast breathing into the lake of blaze, and Satan was confined in the abyss for 1,000 years, confirmed so that he could no longer deceive the peoples. The roar of conflict ceased. The realm ravaged by distress presently beheld the dawn of covenanted tranquility. Jerusalem has transformed into the center of the fresh realm government. From the seat founded in the sacred metropolis, Christ governs with the rod of fairness, completing the utterances of the seers. From the seat of David and over his dominion to found it and to uphold it with fairness and with uprightness from that moment forward and forevermore. Isaiah 9:7. The Anointed One's government is flawless, balanced, and sacred. Mortal codes yield to celestial desire, and the soil experiences for the initial moment what Eden represented: harmony between the Maker, formation, and mankind. The surviving peoples of the distress ascend again under the power of the sovereign. The persisting rulers bow before the Lord, recognizing his authority. The Lord will be ruler over all the soil. In that occasion, there will be one Lord and his name one. Zechariah 14:9. There is no more corruption, oppression, or unfairness. The global economy is renewed, and the fruits of labor are blessed. The realm once dominated by conflict and inequality presently exists in complete tranquility. During this millennium, nature is also renewed. The wasteland blooms, rivers flow again, and even creatures exist in harmony. Isaiah's prophetic word is completed. The wolf shall reside with the lamb, and the lion shall consume straw like the ox. The climate is restored, and the soil, cleansed of the scars of elimination, respires a sigh of relief. It is the moment of universal rest, the representative seventh millennium of mortal chronicle, the Sabbath of formation. The sacred house in Jerusalem is restored, yet presently as a house of worldwide devotion. All peoples ascend to observe the Lord of hosts and honor the celebration of tabernacles as predicted by Zechariah. The magnificence of God resides once again among mortals. Christ himself is the high religious leader and ruler. The ancient spiritual framework is substituted by flawless devotion centered on the Lamb. There is no need for intermediaries. The complete realm recognizes the Lord. The risen holy ones govern with him. Those who perished for the interest of the gospel, martyrs, seers, and believers of every epoch, participate in the Anointed One's governance. This is the completion of the covenant made in Revelation 24. They existed and governed with Christ 1,000 years. Every metropolis, every people, every territory of the realm is governed by principles of uprightness and wisdom. Fairness is instant, evil is restrained, and tranquility is persistent. During these 1,000 years, the realm experiences prosperity and longevity as in ancient periods. Disease is uncommon, conflicts are non-existent, and delight permeates mortal existence. Children play in the passages of Jerusalem. The elderly exist with dignity, and nations sing praises to the ruler. Mankind ultimately rests under the governance of the one who was dismissed, executed, and crowned with thorns, yet who is presently crowned with magnificence and honor. Nevertheless, even in this moment of perfection, the mortal spirit still carries the seed of selection. Many will be conceived during the millennium, and although they exist under Christ's upright governance, they will possess to choose whether to revere him out of affection or mere submission. The ruler's manifestation is observable, yet conviction will still be examined. God never forces affection. Even in a flawless realm, he permits moral liberty to persist. Throughout the ages of the dominion, the peoples learn the roots of the Lord. The soil is instructed in his utterance, and uprightness is the universal tongue. Dominion missionaries instruct subsequent lineages about the ages of obscurity that preceded the Anointed One's restoration. The registrations of chronicle, the devastation of ancient metropolises, the battlefields, and the memorials persist as witnesses that wrongdoing carries elimination, and that only Christ carries existence. The magnificence of the Anointed One covers the planet. God's manifestation is persistent, and the covenant made in Genesis is completed. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with mortals. The Lord himself walks among his nation, and messengers attend the peoples as couriers and guardians. The seat in Jerusalem is the center of sacred illumination and universal power. Yet at the termination of the 1,000 years, something unanticipated occurs. The abyss where Satan had been confined will be revealed for a brief instant. The prophetic word is evident. When the 1,000 years are terminated, Satan will be released from his confinement and will proceed out to deceive the peoples. Revelation 20, 7-8. Even after a millennium of tranquility and fairness, the adversary will again entice the mortal spirit, proving that without regeneration, mortal beings persist vulnerable to deception. The millennium is not the termination, but the prelude to the concluding reckoning. It demonstrates that even in flawless conditions, mankind still requires God's favor. The millennial dominion will demonstrate the supreme contrast between Christ's governance and Satan's rebellion. And when the adversary is released, the concluding section of Mortal Chronicle will commence. Yet when the millennium terminates, the adversary will be unleashed once more. The final judgment. The millennium had reached a termination. For 1,000 years, the soil had experienced Christ's upright and flawless governance. Tranquility governed. The peoples existed in harmony, and the magnificence of God illuminated the realm. Yet as predicted, the moment of the concluding examination had appeared. Satan would be released for a brief instant to entice the people's one final moment. The adversary released from the abyss establishes out again to deceive the spirits of those conceived during the millennial dominion. Many who had existed under the governance of the Anointed One, yet without genuine conversion, will be seduced by his ancient utterance. The identical utterance that deceived Eve in Eden, that seduced kingdoms, that stirred rebellions. They will gather in countless throngs, termed Gog and Magog, encircling the cherished metropolis, Jerusalem. Yet there will be no battle. Blaze will fall from the sky, and God's reckoning will devour all the rebels at once. The chronicle of mortal rebellion reaches a termination. Satan, the deceiver of all epochs, is cast definitively into the lake of blaze and sulfur, where the creature and the false seer already are. His conquest is total, infinite, and irreversible. The adversary of formation will no longer possess strength, nor utterance, nor memory of conquest. Thus is completed the covenant made since Genesis. The seed of the woman will crush the serpent's head. With the concluding collapse of evil, the cosmos ceases. Time, which commenced in the garden, approaches its concluding point. Then John, captured up in apparition, describes the most solemn scene of all, concluding reckoning. He inscribes, "And I observed a grand white seat, and him that positioned on it, from whose countenance the soil and the sky escaped away, and there was discovered no position for them." Revelation 20:11. Before this seat, all the deceased, grand and small, will ascend. No name will be forgotten. No existence will be left untouched. Rulers and attendants, wise and straightforward, wealthy and poor, all will position before the infinite judge. The ocean will restore its deceased. The burial places will reveal, and even the underworld will surrender those who have been in it. God's court will possess no advocates, only verities. Books will be revealed, and among them one will distinguish out, the book of existence. It documents the names of those delivered by the vital fluid of the Lamb. Those who are not discovered, there will be reckoned according to their functions. And no mortal function can substitute rescue through conviction. The reckoning will be individual and fair. Every utterance communicated, every secret action, every concealed selection will be disclosed. The all-observing God will carry to illumination what has been concealed in the darkness. Those who dismiss favor and follow the root of rebellion will experience the second demise, infinite separation from God. And whoever was not discovered inscribed in the book of existence was cast into the lake of blaze. Revelation 20:15. This will be the concluding destiny of wrongdoing, infinite oblivion, absolute exile from the celestial manifestation. God's fairness will be fulfilled, and evil will no longer possess a position in formation. For the delivered, nevertheless, this reckoning will not carry condemnation but validation. Their functions will be examined and their compensations established. Every weeping poured out, every offering made for the affection of Christ, every act of conviction will be remembered before the seat. Well performed, good and constant attendant, the ruler will declare, crowning those who continue to the termination. At that cosmic instant, the sky and soil as we recognize them will terminate to exist. The present cosmos, registered by corruption and wrongdoing, will be dissolved. God's cleansing blaze will devour all impurity, and from chaos, infinity will be conceived. Formation, which groaned for deliverance, will ultimately be established free. It is the peak of the complete scriptural story, the instant when time surrenders its concluding page to infinity. The white seat is the supreme representation of celestial authority. No unfairness proceeds unpunished, no constancy forgot. The God who commenced chronicle in Eden presently terminates it in fairness. The phase of collapse and deliverance is fulfilled. This is the reckoning that will definitively separate illumination from obscurity, good from evil, the rescued from the lost. There will be no appeals, no second chances. This is the instant when every mortal being will confront the result of their personal selection. Before the seat, there will be no disguises or pretexts, only the naked verity before the infinite God. John's apparition is solemn and majestic. He observes the sky in awe, the messengers in quietness, and the delivered in devotion. The white seat is not only the position of fairness, but also the offering place of fulfillment. It is there that wrongdoing will be definitively erased from the cosmos and God will be all in all. When the reckoning is concluded, the ancient order of matters will vanish. Time, space, demise, and anguish will terminate to exist. God himself will create all matters fresh. The apocalypse will transform into Genesis again. Not an imperfect commencement, but a fresh formation, infinite and incorruptible. The white seat thus signifies the termination of the temporal domain and the commencement of the infinite. It is the instant when fairness and favor encounter for the final moment. The Lamb who was once terminated presently governs forever, and delivered formation beholds the magnificence of his sacredness. Time terminates and infinity commences. And I observed a fresh sky and a fresh soil. Time has fulfilled its phase. Chronicle, which commenced in Eden with the collapse of mortals, has traversed kingdoms, conflicts, crosses, and crowns, and presently discovers its concluding destination before infinity. John in his apparition contemplates what no seer had observed with such clarity, a fresh commencement. I observed a fresh sky and a fresh soil, for the initial sky and the initial soil had elapsed, and there was no more ocean. Revelation 21:1. Everything that wrongdoing had corrupted has been undone. Formation respires again, freed from the curse. From the sky descends the fresh Jerusalem, arranged like a bride adorned for her spouse. It is not merely a metropolis. It represents the very expression of the flawless communion between God and his nation. The passages gleam like liquid precious metal, the entryways sparkle like pearls, and the barriers illuminate like evident jasper. The radiance arrives not from the solar body or the lunar body, but from the magnificent manifestation of the Lamb. The metropolis possesses no need of the solar body or the lunar body, for the magnificence of God grants it illumination, and the Lamb is its lamp. Revelation 21:23. Presently time yields to infinity, anguish yields to magnificence. The weeping that once collapsed in the wasteland of mankind are wiped away by God's personal grasps, and God will wipe away every weeping from their gaze, and there will be no more demise or mourning or anguish, for the initial matters have elapsed. Revelation 21:4. The phase of deliverance is fulfilled. The covenant made to Abraham, the offering completed at Calvary, and Daniel's apparitions discover their completion here, where time no longer exists and affection is the only governor. The fresh Jerusalem is the spirit of infinity. From its center flows the rival of the water of existence, evident as crystal, proceeding from the seat of God and of the Lamb. On its banks increases the tree of existence, which bears 12 fruits, one for each infinite season, and whose leaves restore the peoples. There is no illness, no weakness, no distance. Mortals restored to the garden, not as exiled attendants, but as renewed children. God's manifestation is persistent, tangible, and breathing. The seat of the Supreme One is among mortals, and his utterance resonates in flawless tranquility. The delivered observe him countenance to countenance, something previously unfeasible. No covering, no sacred house, no darkness. God himself is the sacred house and Christ himself is the illumination. The multitudes of the rescued arriving from every epoch, and people sing a fresh infinite melody without openings, without melancholy. It is the melody of concluding conquest. To the Lamb be magnificence and honor and authority forever and ever. Infinity is not a remote destination. It represents the ultimate residence of restored formation. Everything that commenced in anguish presently terminates in perfection. Messengers mingle with mortals in devotion. The past is forgotten. The tomorrow is boundless. Time which served as the guiding strand of prediction is absorbed into celestial infinity. The already and the not yet merge into a single forever. The 70 weeks of Daniel, which once appeared merely a cryptic tally, presently disclose their genuine significance. They represent a portrait of God's constancy throughout the ages. Every directive, every covenant, every weeping, and every completion directed to this result. From the seer's supplication in confinement to the fall of the fresh Jerusalem, the identical God has been guiding every moment of chronicle with infinite exactness. No particular was lost. No prophetic word failed. All has been completed. The Anointed One has arrived, perished, risen, and will govern forever. The prophetic timepiece has not erred for a single instant. The God who calculated time flawlessly also calculated favor abundantly. Fairness has been completed. Evil has been conquered, and affection has triumphed. The complete cosmos presently vibrates in harmony with the Maker, and in contemplating this scene, the mortal spirit ultimately grasps the aim of existence. We were formed for infinity, fashioned for affection, summoned to magnificence. Time was only the route. Infinity is the destination. Everything that was darkness has transformed into illumination. Everything that was covenant has transformed into manifestation. The Lamb once terminated presently governs enthroned, and upon every delivered spirit illuminates the mirror of his infinite magnificence. Thus Chronicle terminates not with the resonance of conflict horns, but with a gentle melody of accomplished deliverance. Infinity commences, and in it there are no more farewells. Mortals restore residence, and God resides forever with his personal. The Almighty's timepiece maintains ticking, and the subsequent moment could alter everything. If this disclosure has contacted your being and revealed your gaze to what approaches, do not cease here. 2 more presentations will present on your display. Remain with us and uncover how each prophetic word fits into the Maker's infinite design. Join, appreciate, and share this communication with someone who desires to grasp the periods we exist in. May the identical God who disclosed the mystery of the epics to Daniel also provide you discernment to perceive the indications that precede the termination. Because prophetic words are not ancient chronicle, they are the blueprint of tomorrow unfolding before our gaze this very occasion.